So one of the biggest factors and tools that separated Floyd from Zab in their matchup was Floyd using traps to bait reactions out of Zab, and he would punish those reactions with some of his most effective shots. And so they mostly will revolve around the lead hand or the jab of Zab. So he would make Zab throw out his jab, or make him throw out his one, and then he would come over top, or he would come underneath, or he would come around with something and a big shot. And that's how he was kind of succeeding in controlling that fight. So here, for example, he's gonna put out that lead hand, and then Zab is gonna start playing the lead hand battle. And once he does, Floyd is looking to come around with that right hand. And it's not just the right hand, but a lot of times, especially in the early rounds, he was reliant on that power jab over top. And so the double jab from Zab was keeping Floyd out of range, and it was threatening Floyd, backing him up. So he's gonna come over top. And so he was loaded like a coil. He was spring ready for that jab response. Once that jab came out, he came over top with that power jab. And here's that lead hand bait again. He's gonna put out that lead hand. Zab is throwing that double jab. Once he barely puts out that lead hand again to get a reaction, and he doesn't put it out that much because he's bringing it right back so he can jab over top. And here he's gonna set another trap. He put that lead hand out. Zab tries to step in, jab over top. And basically the idea there is to invade their space and kind of crowd them, force them to take an action. Whether it's like parrying that lead hand out, or slapping it around, or doing something. They have to do something in order to combat you invading their space. And so what Zab's response was to put out that jab. And when he put out that jab, Floyd could counter him. And then this is just a classic trap pull counter from Floyd, where he puts himself in a vulnerable position, leaning forward with his hands down. Zab is gonna look for something, and he throws the right hand. But that shot actually missed by like this much. It missed by literally an inch. And this one, instead of pulling back, he's gonna duck underneath, and he kind of gets low. He's out of range, and so Zab is gonna have to step in to land this shot. And when he steps in, he can't get back this time because he committed his way forward. Floyd's able to connect with that right hand. And then you're gonna see the same idea here, except for this is less of a trap and more of a guard occupation with the lead hand. Bring his attention up, land the right to the body. On top of that, his cross to the body has the same initial startup as his cross up top, so it's harder to read. He goes low, and then he's gonna do the same thing. So whenever he throws that cross to the body, he pulls a lot of his weight forward. Like he has a unique way of throwing his cross. But that unique way also looks the same to the body and to the head, so it's disguised. And to kind of show what I mean, here he's gonna mix up the head and body, and they're all gonna connect on Zab because it's hard to read if he's going high or low. And so he's mixing in, he goes to the body, then he goes up top, and then he goes up top. And so he's mixing in, and it's hard to read. It's all about subterfuge, right? So it's not just setting traps, which is the primary purpose of this video, but it's also about disguising your entries, which I always say. And so when he's entering in the range and he's throwing that right hand, he doesn't know if it's up top or it's down low, so he can't react accordingly. And when you have all those tools in your bag, you're able to mix up what you're capable of doing. And so now when he's countering the jab, it's not just with a jab over top. Now he's landing that right hand too. So he's mixing up his counters. He's not predictable. And then here it's kind of a mix of the high guard trap, where you stand stationary, give them a stationary target with the high guard, and then they try and attack, and then you pull back and do your thing and counter. But it's a mix of that, but then it's also a mix of rhythmic time and manipulation. So he's gonna step forward behind that high guard and then throw the right hand, and it lands. But then he's gonna do that step forward, and he looks like he's gonna do the high guard and then throw, but instead he steps forward and throws immediately after. So it's a change in timing. It goes from step 1, step 2, step 3 to step 1, step 3, right? So step forward, high guard, right hand, step forward, right hand. There's a change in steps in the rhythm. And then notice each time he's ending the combo with the left hook. I think that was a major part of the game plan, because from round 1 he was doing that. He was throwing that 2 and he was throwing that 3 after, and he was catching them trying to go around the outside. So that's a trap within itself, is predicting your opponent's habits and then taking advantage of those. This is a great example of what I mean. And then here, instead of a high guard, what he's going to do is I call it the freeze frame. He stands in front of him and freezes, giving him another stationary target. Zab is going to react accordingly, and he's going to counter that reaction accordingly. And if you notice, he's giving him different looks, especially since he's applying a lot of pressure. He's giving him different looks whenever he's setting these traps. So sometimes it's the high guard, sometimes he's standing in front of him in the shell, but he's providing a target for Zab to try and punish. But when Zab tries to punish, Floyd counters that action with his own reaction. So it's not just different looks to bait the trap and set the trap up, but it's also different looks to punish the opponent when they fall for the trap. So here, he's gonna throw that cross to the body underneath the jab. So he's doing everything to shut down the jab. Cross up top, cross to the body, jab over top, and then later on we'll show uppercut. Now he's going up top with the cross. Just perfectly timing the jab. High guard bait, giving him a stationary target right up the middle for the jab. Jab comes out, lead uppercut, and then left hook again. He's ending those combinations with the left hook because he knows he's going to circle out to the left. And so he was just neutralizing Zab, and it was building up over the rounds, all the body shots, all the pressure. And so the traps were a big part of that, punishing almost everything Zab did, because almost everything Zab did came behind that jab. And so by shutting down that jab with different disguises, different looks, and different traps, he was able to take over the fight, and some other factors, but that was one of the big reasons. And so this is just prep for Crawford versus Floyd, and we will get you more soon. Immortality Serum out.